Hello, I'm Helen Barlow. I'm a graphic designer at One Line Ethical Design. I'm just here waiting to do a live broadcast with Leon Howe from Enterprise Know-How, and we're just going to go through some typography tips for animation. So we'll just wait for Leon to join the call. Basically, what's happened is Leon has been helping me with an animation that's designed to inform people about how to source ethical packaging. So as part of the Springboard programme for women in business in Northumberland in the UK, Leon has been my mentor and has very kindly been working on this animation for me. So I'm just going to check in and see if he's managed to receive the link, okay, so he can join in the call. Might have to bear with us a little bit for the tech. Just going to send him the link again. So we're just inviting Leon to the call. And what I'll do if we have to wait for a little bit longer for Leon. Oh, looks like he's here.
Hello.
Hello, Leon.
Hello, Helen. How are you doing? Okay.
I'm good. I've just done a little introduction because we were broadcasting already in order to invite you. So I've just explained that you've been helping me with animation, which is designed to let people know about ethical packaging as part of my mentoring. So if you want to do a little intro to yourself, that would be great.
Yeah, excellent. Well, just like to also say, Helen, there was a few technical hitches there, but we managed to iron them out, so we are live, so this is good. So just a quick introduction to myself. My name's Leon, as Helen's probably already said, from Enterprise Know-How, and essentially I'm part of the Springboard program, which Helen is one of the 20 women entrepreneurs we're helping with their digital marketing. So this is a bit of an experiment, Helen, isn't it, for ourselves? So Helen's been working very hard, and hopefully at the end of March, your digital marketing plan will all be in place. I know you've been working very hard on your website so far, Helen, yeah? It's all going pretty good. So essentially, what we've decided to do as part of Helen's blog, she's going to share ethical suppliers around design as well. So essentially what we've done is Helen's put together some content, and we've put it in animation form. So I'm no designer, so essentially all I've done is use some software which makes an animation, and we've got it so far. Helen's gonna talk us through a little bit about typography and design, so we should get it, you think?
Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah, basically just some little tweaks that can aid with readability, really. Typography is about function in design more than it is about look. So as a bit of a typography geek, when I see things like orphans and widows, they're called, which is when you might get one word on a line or a short word at the end of the line. As a geek, I have a little bit of a freak out because it's all about helping people to just read a lot easier and find the information a lot easier. So we're just going to quickly sort of run through the animation and get rid of all those orphans and widows.
Yes, why not? Let's get rid of it. Who wants to orphan our widow?
Exactly.
Doesn't it? So sounds
I have
good.
no idea who came up with the names for them. I mean, that terminology's been around since the days of hot metal type, so kind of what, early 19th century, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So, well, we'll try this experiment. So we're going to
Yes.
try the changes online, yeah?
Yeah.
And so I'll try this, Helen. Let's hope it works. We'll try the screen share. And now we shall try this. So we're going to go now to Helen's animation so far on source and ethical packaging. You ready?
Yep.
Can you see that, Helen?
I can. Oh, I did. Oh, only when I don't talk. Only when I don't talk. So yeah, I can see it in the corner there. So that's big enough. Don't worry, I will manage with that. So on this first slide, in an ideal world, you wouldn't have something like the word "on" at the end of a line. It's sort of common practice that two-letter words, well, one-letter words like "a" or "I," two-letter words like "on" or "at." Definitely shouldn't be on the end of a line. And if you can manage it in good typography, some people will say that three-letter words, that same principle applies to. So all you need to do in this instance is obviously drop the "on" down to the next line. We'll see what impact that has. It's really, that is to do with something called ragged edge. It's much easier for us to read a ragged edged line than it is justified text. A left aligned ragged edged is sort of the most legible. But if the edge has these kind of little bits on it, then it can just be a little bit confusing for the eye. And it's really subtle. Quite a subconscious kind of thing. Like you as the reader might not notice it if it's right, but you certainly notice it if it's wrong. It slows your reading down.
Okay. Brilliant.
So that looks a lot better in terms of that line. And then with is technically it's not a widow because it's not on its own page, but same sort of principle. So in that instance, you would bring, hopefully this will fit, if you bring the one line with the comma up onto the same line as with.
Yeah.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Okay? Yes. Can I just check if it's got a full stop at the end?
You certainly can.
Really picky now.
That's fine. No, you're the, This is not my hot point. This is not my forte. So keep me on track here. So yeah.
So yeah, and I just put, I mean, well, actually no, leave the full stop off. So full stop off because it's a title. So that's fine.
Okay.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely
Slide
spot
2,
on.
perhaps?
Sorry?
Slide 2?
Yeah, let's move on to the next one, yeah.
And we've also chosen, was there any reason Roboto you chose that, Helen?
There was, yes. My brand font that I use for one line is called Lato, which was actually chosen because it is a free Google font. So what that means is I can kind of keep the brand consistency on most people's computers, you know, who don't have the ability to kind of read expensive fonts that you might have bought, and that because there's defaults. However, the software that we're doing the animation in didn't have Lato, so Roboto's kind of your close second. Yeah, it's actually was a font that was designed for Google, so you kind of know it's good if Google are using it.
I think with this being an animation software, there's lots of weird and wacky ones, and it tends to miss off your standard ones. So
and that, I mean, I can spend a day. Well, I did spend a day actually looking through all the Google fonts that were available. So that was fun for me, but probably not for anybody else. And I can honestly say that probably Roboto, Open Sans, and Lato just don't even bother with any of the rest of them.
Right, so we understand what font type now. We've learned a little bit about orphans and widows, so that's always good, isn't it? Yeah, so some useful tips there. So we'll go on to slide 2.
And that one was absolutely fine. Obviously, everything's on a line there, you know, and we've used a sentence and we've got a full stop at the end of it. So a lot of, obviously, typography is kind of steeped in grammar and how, you know, in English writing. So that one's fine. We can move on to number 3.
Brilliant. There we go.
And that one, well, actually, probably if you pull the all down, so you've got all about you on the second line.
Yeah. Oh.
And again, that's that thing about 3-word letters being what we'd consider short words. If you've got a really big body of text, you might not have to do that, because what you don't want to do is sort of do something like that at the expense of getting just a nice kind of that sort of curvature to the end of your line. You don't want it to go in and out and in and out. So it's a bit of a balancing act.
And it does look better, that, doesn't it? It looks more balanced, yeah.
Yeah.
I've discovered as well that it's you know, if I've put returns in, I've got to delete them because it doesn't look right. So I'm rabbiting away here, but I spent lots of time on another one trying to figure that out, and so there's missing. You can't see where the returns are, so you've got to kind of keep them, deleting them, and put them back. So
and I think this is one of the tricky things when you know, and I find it with website design and code and all that kind of thing, that when you're designing on something that isn't typically typographic software, there's lots of kind of defaults that it'll try and do for you, and so you're constantly kind of having to compensate a little bit.
Excellent. So we're on slide number 4, and I'll pull up the text. There we go. Can you see that, Helen?
Yeah, I can. I can't read it when I talk, so I'm just going to be quiet. You say something for a second so I can read it.
It's what's your product first line, what's awesome about its second line, and what makes your brand tick.
That looks fine to me. That one looks absolutely fine. Everything's, perfect.
Yeah, excellent. So we'll head to number 5. And this one here, how's it going with your current packaging now? Would you move, from the tips you've said, would you move the packaging up a line perhaps?
I would, yes, in an ideal world. What you'll have to bear in mind is if there's a little illustration, I think, is what that sort of negative space is for, is just how that impacts on that.
Well, we'll have a look and give it a try. Right.
So you'll have to make the text box a lot wider.
Yeah. Now then, we will.
So I'd kind of just move that down into the bottom right a little bit more, that box.
Right, a little bit more, yeah.
Just so it's got plenty of kind of, each element has its own little space. And then with your how's it going text, I'd maybe just nudge that.
A bit further over.
Right. You're right as well.
Yeah, it is. You're right. You're right.
I'm going to get me a cup of tea.
Yeah, we'll go. How's that look?
Much better. Thank you. Yes.
So then, now then, is that, if I've been listening correctly, is that a widow?
It's an orphan.
Orphan, I'll learn by the end of it.
You will, yeah. So an orphan is when it's on at the end of a paragraph.
Yeah.
And a widow is more commonly used if you're designing a book or a magazine, because that's when one word would jump up onto the next page. So say you got down to the end of your column on your left-hand page, you got one word and you just jumped it up onto there. That the technical is a widow, and so kind of it doesn't apply as much in something like this because we've only got one page to work with.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that one, I would drop your down, so you've got your customers on a line.
Now then. Let's hope that works. Yeah, it has.
Something else I just noticed there actually is that with the one before, when you've had a title, like I think it's the slide before the last one, it's centralized, whereas this is left aligned. So I think the thing to do would be for consistency to make this one centralized as well, so that all your kind of title pages, if you like, have this centralized approach to them, and then all the information pages where you've got the lighter version of Roboto would be left aligned.
Got you. So
yeah,
it's centralized. Yeah. So like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Thank you.
And then just check where that comes in. Yeah, that's all right, do you think?
Yeah, I do.
Brilliant. Okay, then. So this one here, can you see? You'll be struggling to read that, I guess, but who are your customers and why do they buy your product? Are your customers in that 55% of buyers who would pay more for an ethical packaged product, and what makes them tick, and is your packaging making them say wow?
So with that one, I reckon the top one you'd bring buy down onto the next line.
Yeah.
And then we'll have to see what happens when you take who down onto the next line, because what you don't want is that's got an orphan at the end of that paragraph, so we might have to jiggle around in order to try and get rid of that orphan.
Yeah. Now then, we were going to move. Is it
just the word buy, so that first line would end with the word they.
Yeah. Now then.
That's funny.
Do you see what I mean? This is one of the problems. So we'll try this.
If that doesn't work, we could maybe just stretch the text box out a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to do. That's why.
Sometimes as well, I rewrite the copy complete, like just so that it's perfect typographically. I have no idea if it's, great grammar, but it looks beautiful.
This is one of the limitations you have with this. I mean, I can do it that way.
Right. So let's have that works. So let's have a look at that second bullet point.
Yeah.
And what's going on with that in your editor.
So it's really to do with the text box, I'm guessing.
Yes. I think maybe we might have to, if you read it out and I'll see if we can lose a word, might help.
Are your customers in that 55% of buyers who would pay more for an ethically packaged product?
Would it work if we took the word would out, who pay more?
Yeah.
See, my grammar's not so bad, actually.
Well done. And we'll try that.
Ah, man.
Yeah, difficult one, isn't it?
It is. We might have to just make that text box bigger again. The other thing that, sometimes we'll do, in an ideal world, obviously all your titles should be the same point size, and obviously your body copy should be the same point size. Sometimes we'll have to tweak a little bit. Obviously, I just go back a tiny touch there. It looked almost, perfect.
I'm just looking to see, you know, to get that on the one line. It's and move them down, but it's.
I think you had it when you sort of had who pay was the end of that.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, just make it just a tiny little bit smaller because you might get that pay down. This is a tricky one, isn't it?
So it's got the pay down there in the next line.
But then we'll kind of get by down, can we? That's frustrating. We might have to make do with that one.
Yeah, it's limitation software. This is some of the problems I had with it.
Yeah, and it's better that, and this, you know, you've got to compensate sometimes for what you're working with, so it's definitely better like that. So we'll run with that one.
And I've just noticed that there is missing. Bullet point.
Oh, right, yeah, well spotted.
Can't find a bullet point in here.
Maybe you can just copy the one from the one above.
God. Thinking.
We'll make a great team.
There we go. Bingo, bango.
Super.
There we go.
Cool. So I think we're about halfway through the slides now, or just over halfway. We're getting there.
Slides 12, yeah, we're over halfway, so we're doing well.
Right.
This is number 8, yeah.
Right, so we might have the same issues here, but again, you've got in on that top line. So in an ideal world, you'd have in would drop down onto the second line, and the U at the end of that second line would drop down onto the third. Yeah.
Right, let's try that then.
It's funny, isn't it? So that's down to textbook size. Right, I'm with you.
And then in touch, what did we say? I'm just gonna try some you. We'll just try this.
Because do you get like soft returns and hard returns in it, or it probably doesn't understand?
It.
Yeah.
Was that a bit better?
It's better, yeah. Oh, well, that's brilliant, yeah.
Yeah.
Was that a hard return then? Just pressing the.
Just yeah, it was just a return. Yeah.
It's called hard returns and soft returns in my little typography world.
I'm thinking I pressed it fairly hard.
Was it difficult? That's a one for another time then, isn't it? Yeah, that's perfect. Spot on.
And this one.
Right, so you've got orphans at the end of both of those paragraphs. So I think on the first one, it's probably going to be a case of, I think it was the word for will have to come down, and then probably the word at the end of that second line will have to come down again.
We'll try this just to see how it looks. Let's see if this works.
Yeah, that's worked for that one, definitely.
Yeah, and then on the next one, move the arm down, yeah?
Yeah, try that first.
Right, we'll have a look at this.
Yeah, I think
folio.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. I'm just wondering because I would leave it because of the reason that otherwise what you've got is because of that top paragraph sort of here, if you like. If you drop your down, you'd start going like that, and really you want that more of a curve. So that, again, that's a bit of a balancing act. You can see why it takes me a long time to write a blog.
Yeah. If you're thinking about all these things
all the time,
happy days for you. So step 3.
Now, I think this one is pretty much spot on, but if you wouldn't mind just reading it out so I can see it big on my screen, just to double check.
So, step 3, sample and test the water, and then the bullet points are, if you're happy to go ahead with ethical packaging, we suggest you do a small sample run first. Bullet point 2 is, we'll help you define your specifications and design the technical specification our artisans require. And then bullet point number 3 is, there is a small fee from our design agency. There's a small fee for our design team, which ensures that we're able to protect the fair trade premium without it costing more to your customers.
So the only one I spotted on there is just on that top line, which is the word we, which you probably spotted as well.
Yep.
I like those little fish.
We'll try how these. There we go.
Super.
How's that look?
Yeah, loads better.
And this one, this is your title.
Yeah, so again, I just centralised that in the frame that you've got, and obviously in the thing.
Yeah, good point. Yeah. And then next one.
Right.
Once you approve the samples, your order will go into production with a huge thank you from our fair trade artisans. And then the next one down, we will advise you on the best way to ship your ethical packaging in order to reduce any carbon footprint. I
reckon you could probably drop everything on the first line that starting from go and see what happens, so that gets rid of the orphan in that paragraph.
Yeah.
And I'd drop R down as well.
Is that better?
Yeah, yeah. And as you can see, kind of that next bullet point, that ethical. Again, I mean, if you wanted to play with that afterwards, you could sort of try and create that bullet point to be 3 lines so that you don't have that long one, but it's not a biggie, that one.
Yeah, no, we'll have a little look. How does that look?
Yeah, see, I would go back because I wondered if that would happen. Yeah, so again, it's you know, it's that sort of certain level of perfectionism. I hope you've hit save at some point.
Good point.
That's always the way, isn't it?
Right, and I think
that's the last one, aren't you now, aren't we?
Last one, yeah. So this one's centralized?
Yes, and what I will do for the purposes of that one, because we have 2 versions of our logo, one which is left aligned that I tend to use like top left, like you see on the other slides, but then for this very reason I have a centralized one, so when we're finished with the broadcast I will send that over and you can just drop that in the middle so everything's centralized. So thank you.
Excellent. And did you get me email regarding of like a blank? I can't find a blank, so like a text box with a link. Does that make sense? You can only have them, I'll show you on number 8, like versions like that. So I don't know whether you want one of them on the end or just leave it like that. Remember, it's a video, so I think you know, someone's going to check you out. They'll probably go online and check you out anyway without that function.
Yeah, I think, and not to overcomplicate that slide, I think, as well. And like you said, I think it'll be all right without that. So do you think now when you're doing your typing, you'll be looking out for orphans and widows?
Well, I'm going to be looking out for orphans and widows, yes, and yes, I will look. But it's actually it's been quite a good lesson, that, because it does look a lot neater, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It flows nicer. It looks better.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, it's just that balance, really. And like I said at the beginning, it's not kind of a designer thing in the sense that it is just about look. What I love about typography is that it is kind of all about function and just making life easier for people, which is always good, and nothing too painful on the eyes. So doing a good thing.
So good job. So through this try little broadcast, we've learned a bit about typography, if I can say it right. Typography, a little bit about design, and so it's been pretty good. What do you think?
Yes, thanks, Leon. I really appreciate you doing this. So
no problem. And so what I'll do, I'll wait for the logo to come through, and then I'll send you the final design. And I'd like to thank you for the invitation, and we'll wish all our best regards to the others on the Springboard program, eh?
Great stuff. Yeah, thanks again.
Cheers, Helen. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.